Welcome to this edition of SKNIS Week in Review, a program highlighting the top stories of the work of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis for the past week. Here's a look at some of the highlights for the week of October 21st to 27th, 2022. St. Kitts and Nevis's new session of Parliament opens with record number of female MPs. 3 bills passed in official sitting of Parliament on October 27th, and ROC Taiwan partners with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis in support of COP27. I am your presenter, Sherma Matthew. Let's take a look at some parliamentary matters. 2 new females joined the Federal Parliament of St. Kitts and Nevis on Tuesday, October 25th, 2022, during its ceremonial opening held at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort. At the session, the Honorable Lanine Blanchett was elected Speaker of the National Assembly, while the Honorable Latoya Jones was elected Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. Speaker Blanchett said that gender equality is an issue that has generated much discussion and action across the world.
I am delighted to see the progress that we as a country have made in this regard. When we empower women as leaders and decision makers, the community and the economy benefit. Having female leaders in positions of influence allow them to serve as role models, which is not only critical to the career advancement of women, but stands to generate broader societal impacts on pay equity, changing workplace policies in ways that benefit both men and women, and attracting a more diverse workforce. May we continue to ensure that women have a seat at the table.
The new additions bring the total number of female federal parliamentarians to 5, the most ever in the history of the Twin Island Federation. The other female MPs are the Honorable Minister Marsha Henderson and the Honorable Senators Dr. Joyelle Clark and Iseline Phillip. Governor General's Deputy, Her Excellency Marcella Liburd, highlighted this achievement as she delivered the throne speech during the sit-in. Tourism is considered one of the fastest growing economic sectors regionally and globally. As such, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis has committed to building a more vibrant and resilient tourism industry, as it is a critical pathway for the Federation to build better going forward and to recover faster from the COVID-19 pandemic. This was according to the Governor General's Deputy, Her Excellency Marcella A. Liburd, JP, during her throne speech at the opening of the new session of the National Assembly of St. Kitts and Nevis since the August 5th general elections. The parliamentary sit-in was held at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort Royal Ballroom on Tuesday, October 25th, 2022.
Our new Labour government is proposing a better way for the expansion of our tourism sector, which continues to be one of the critical pillars of development here in the Federation. Over the recent past, our tourism industry has shown a lackluster performance, with no major gains in brand recognition or development of the tourism product. At this time, we want to reassure our citizens that our government is working assiduously to turn things around. We are determined to put our tourism sector back on track to contribute more to our national development.
Over the next 5 years, St. Kitts and Nevis will attract at least 2 new 5-star hotels, building on the foundation that has already been established with the Four Seasons Resort in Nevis and the Park Hyatt Resort in St. Kitts. An act to amend the St. Kitts Investment Promotion Agency Act Cap 20.26, otherwise known as the St. Kitts Investment Promotion Agency Bill 2022, was successfully passed in the Federal Parliament after much debate on Thursday, October 27, 2022. Mover of the bill and Minister responsible for investment, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas, described the amendment as simple but significantly important. He said that the successful passage of the bill will create opportunities for jobs.
We have to create opportunities for investment, and that is why I give credit to the Prime Minister for selecting this piece of legislation to be the first to be debated in our Parliament, because it is all about job creation, getting our people working, remove the people from step dependence, remove the people from the gang dependency, and put them to work. And this is going to facilitate. This piece of legislation is going to go a long way in ensuring that those policies which we spoke about during the campaign, that they come to fruition. And so this piece of legislation is critical. It is a very simple piece of legislation, short piece of legislation, but critically important.
The bill was supported by members on both sides of the aisle. With the passage of the amendments to the Public Health Act in the National Assembly, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis successfully repealed the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Bill and effectively signaled to the world that St. Kitts and Nevis is truly open for business. Prime Minister and Minister of Health, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, who was the mover of the Public Health Amendment Bill 2022, indicated that the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Act significantly affected and impacted the lives and livelihoods of thousands of citizens and residents.
Social distancing and physical distancing was also really part of the measures that were included, and we remember very well that you couldn't visit family members. We remember very well that people could not socialize in the way that they were accustomed to, because then the science told us that it was necessary to do so. We had hygiene protocols where you had to use a sanitizer and wash your hands. But I would say, hope that that would have been the protocol that we always practice. Wearing of masks outdoors, which had become very controversial in certain parts, had become necessary at that time as well. Restriction of social activities, as we saw the orange economy really being hit hard. The entertainers could not earn and had difficulties meeting their obligations. Education and religious instruction, those were also affected.
Prime Minister just stated that for months prior to the 2022 general elections, scientific evidence existed that had shown that there was no longer any need for most of the COVID-19 restrictions in St. Kitts and Nevis. The Civil Aviation Amendment Bill 2022, which was debated in Federal Parliament on October 27, was successfully passed, paving the way for enhanced safety and security of the aviation sector for the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States region and its member states. Mover of the bill and Minister with responsibility for civil aviation in the federal government, the Honorable Marsha Henderson, said that the purpose of the proposed amendments before the Honorable House was to address and rectify the issue regarding the demotion of the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority, ECA, from Category 1 to Category 2 status by the United States of America Federal Aviation Administration, FAA. She underscored the importance of the aviation sector, adding that the government of St. Kitts and Nevis understands its usefulness.
Madam Speaker, the government, our government that is, fully understands and appreciates the importance of the aviation industry. The amendments take a balanced approach between the need to protect the traveling public and, of course, ensuring the viability of the sector. These amendments, Madam Speaker, are really about general aviation and balancing the critically important need for safety with making sure that the regulatory burden is not too great to bear.
Minister Henderson, who is also responsible for tourism, said that, and I quote, "Aviation is a critical aspect of our everyday lives and has become a critical component of the air transport sector," end of quote. The Civil Aviation Amendment Bill 2022 was largely supported by members on both sides of the aisle. Members of the Federal Parliament in St. Kitts and Nevis wore pink on Thursday, October 27, 2022, in commemoration of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is celebrated annually in October. Parliament Speaker, the Honourable Anine Blanchett, used the first official sitting of the National Assembly to highlight the value of the support shown by the MPs for persons who are affected or impacted by breast cancer.
In commemoration of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we recognize that breast cancer is not present only in October. However, we use this month and this moment to register our support for and solidarity with those diagnosed with this disease and their families, as well as caregivers who struggle with them. We also offer our support to the survivors and thrivers who have won the battle.
Speaker Blanchett noted that the MPs join with the medical community in encouraging and promoting healthy eating, regular exercise, and knowing your bodies. She further encouraged women 40 years or over to have annual mammograms as recommended by health professionals. On to other events. Employees across the various departments of the Ministry of Sustainable Development was empowered to carry out their day-to-day mandate during an all-day employee retreat held under the theme Catching the Vision of Transformation with the Ministry of Sustainable Development. Acting Permanent Secretary Shesdo Tyson reminded the employees that the ministry was needed to specifically focus on guiding the government on developing the economy, resources, and the environment.
We are cognizant that we have to restore the confidence of the public and private sector in our service at the Ministry of Sustainable Development. Our goals are: 1, to establish how we as employees of the ministry fit into the framework of the ministry's operations and vision. We must ensure that we have the capacity and the capability to do this. Secondly, we will discuss how we can professionalize our processes so we can improve the ministry's output and results. And thirdly, we are going to focus on improving the efficiency of the human element so that we can align with the ministry's strategic objectives. Hence, the theme, Catching the Vision of Transformation for the Ministry, is aptly selected.
The purpose of the retreat was for the employees to come together and refocus in an effort to regain the public's confidence as it aims to re-establish the standards and transform the ministry. The government of the Republic of China, Taiwan, has partnered with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis to provide technical support to the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Environment, Climate Action, and Constituency Empowerment, as well as the Ministry of Energy, to allow their delegation to participate in the United Nations Climate Change Conference, commonly referred to as COP27, which will be held in Egypt from November 6th to 18th, 2022. His Excellency Ambassador Michael Lin, Resident Ambassador of the Republic of China, Taiwan to St. Kitts and Nevis, met with Ministers the Honourable Dr. Joyelle Clark and the Honourable Conris Maynard on Wednesday, 26 October 2022, to make the presentation. He wished the delegation much success and anticipates meeting the team upon their return. In response, Minister Maynard expressed satisfaction and requested that Ambassador Lin conveys to his government the appreciation and the interest in continuing to unite efforts between both countries so as to further the relations of cooperation. This is the largest delegation to ever represent St. Kitts and Nevis at the UN Climate Change Conference, with 8 persons including Ministers Clark and Maynard. 2 non-governmental organizations, NGOs, are poised to execute 2 community projects in St. Kitts under the Women's Employment, Entrepreneurship and Financial Inclusion Project being administered by the Technical Mission of the Republic of China, Taiwan. A contract signing ceremony was held on Friday, October 21, 2022, at the National ICT Center to formally provide funding for the projects Hustle and Grow and Empowering Women Living with Non-Communicable Diseases, NCDs. Resident Ambassador of the Republic of China, Taiwan, His Excellency Michael Lin, noted that Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs is proud to fund the initiatives under the Women's Employment, Entrepreneurship and Financial Inclusion Project. The project started in November 2021 and is implemented in 8 countries. Ambassador Lin said that the St. Kitts-based projects are the first to be approved and aligned with a key global strategy.
The program is also an important show of support for the global gender equality initiatives. It is a response to the goal 5 of the Sustainable Development Goals, achieving gender equality and empowering all women and girls. With different approaches, there will be important parts of advocating for women's economic empowerment in the Federation, in public health and the media and the cultural sectors.
The successful candidates promised to meet all the goals outlined in their projects. That was the SKNIS Weekly Review for October 21st to 27th, 2022. I am Sherma Malky.